And we are going to pivot now, take you live to City Hall, where Toronto's Mayor Olivia Chow is discussing the launch of budget consultations.
Torontonians, what matters to them? Which service matters to them most? And we often hear from people about services, especially through the 311. But what we don't hear is how we should fund our services. We know the City of Toronto has an affordability crisis that are experienced by the people. People are struggling to pay the rent. You see the long lineup at food banks, and you see the 80,000 households that are waiting for affordable housing on our waiting list, and the child care waiting list. There's all types of waiting lists. In these difficult times, though, because the library is free, because it has internet services, because it can print things, and there's community centers, and there's parks, and Ravine that is free. We provide a really good net for a place where people can feel they belong, and it matters to them. So we want to hear from people that are also struggling to make ends meet. City service matter to people. They keep life affordable. But right now, you've heard from me before that we are facing a $1.5 billion budget shortfall. And it challenges our ability to provide the service that people relied on. So I need help. The Budget Committee need help. We want people to tell us what services matter to them and how much they're willing to pay for it. That's why we are opening literally the entire budget process. This is our budget staff book. And we are literally opening up the budget process and the budget book itself to ask people how they could fund the services that matters to them. And in the coming month, starting from today, you can online go to toronto.ca/budget, and there's a questionnaire in there. Tell us through online, or better still, come and meet with the Budget Committee. And later on, the Budget Chief will tell you about these face-to-face meeting in the month of November. And more important is that I need people's help as we talk to other levels of government. Because I've gone to Queen's Park, I've gone to the House of Commons in Ottawa, I've met with the minister, met with the premier, met with the prime minister, but we need the people to speak up. We need them to say to the other levels of government what matters to them and why it's important to invest in Torontonians and the City of Toronto's services. So we're hoping through this process that Torontonians will gather their friends, the co-workers, the neighbors, all come together, even the family members, and talk about what matters to them and how other levels of government can invest in the city. Whether they write to their local MPP or meet up with their MP, with their neighbors, that would be great. Because you know what? We need a new deal in this city. We need this new deal now. And this budget consultation is our opportunity to shape the future of our city together. We know that together we are stronger, and together we can make life affordable and make the city service affordable for everyone. Now, let me pass this podium to Budget Chief, the Chair of our Budget Committee, Sherry Carroll.
Thank you so much, Mayor Chow. I also want to point out that I'm joined by Budget Committee members, Vice Chair Councillor Perks, Councillor Lily Chang, Councillor Chris Moyse, Councillor McKelvey and Morley will make up the rest of the Budget Committee. And with apologies to your communities, because for the month of November, they're going to share you with the whole city. The Budget Committee is going to be very busy, and we're going to be everywhere in this city. I want to thank you for joining us today. We really need to do something different this year. A budget is a roadmap. It's a roadmap to how we build the future of the city. But this first year of that bright future we hope that a new deal will bring to the city will still be quite difficult. And so we're going to have to work together with community. We need to get together. We need to have a shared understanding of where the city is at right now financially. You'll tell us where we're at in terms of what we deliver. And then we need to reflect on what are our shared priorities for the future. All of us. I think I speak for every Torontonian, not just the members of council, when I say we all want a city that has a bright future for our children and for our grandchildren. And so that's what the conversation that Mayor Chow and Premier Ford is having right now, that's what that's about. And it needs to be what the budget process is about. And so this year we're doing things quite differently. We're going to come to Torontonians before the budget is a done deal. How many times have we heard people say, you've already announced what the property taxes increase might be. You've already announced what you think is the budget. Why am I here? Well, we're asking you to come gather with us before all of those things are predetermined, before this binder is completed. This binder is about what's happening right now. Staff are right now looking for efficiencies that they think we can all live with, but it's us, Torontonians and council and Mayor Chow, that need to decide together whether or not that's the case. Most of us know that Toronto is facing serious challenges. Staff outlined that all through this summer in the long-term financial plan. We're staring down that operating budget shortfall, that post-pandemic bill come due of $1.5 billion or more. So we need to hear from you on how we will go about balancing right now the needs of the city, the affordability of families with that challenge that is created by that gap that we have right now. So that diligent work is underway, staff to staff right now, facing our challenges. Hard work is going on at that working table between the city and the province. And Mayor Chow, I think you've been joined now. You have a federal finance official at that table now. And so that work is going on for the new deal. But in the meantime, for 2024, we've got to do some hard work. We know that in the future, property tax alone is not going to be able to sustain our city and the wide array of services that we must offer, from affordable housing to higher order transit and superhighways to health services and more. Most of you know those services by heart. Toronto's the 4th largest city in North America. And so later on, sooner or later, when those talks are finished, and at some point in the future, we know that, like every other major city in North America, we're going to need those tools that grow with our economy. But 2024 is right now. That's the budget we're working on. And so we leave those intergovernmental talks to the mayor and a hardworking team. And for 2024, this is where you come in. This is where every resident of Toronto can take part. We're going to develop that shared understanding. You're going to know what exactly are the city's challenges financially, and knowing that, what are the needs that are most important to you? What would you like to see happening in the city, and how do you want that delivered? We're going to be facilitating a month of public pre-budget consultation sessions. And it starts online today, but starting November 20th, we have 5 evenings where we will be delivering 2 sessions a night on letting you hear what we have to describe, and then you'll describe to us the city you want. And so that's really 10 opportunities. And for those who can't make it, for those living busy lives in Toronto, we're still going to have virtual sessions. And again, on 3 evenings, we'll have 2 sessions each. So there are 16 opportunities for Torontonians to speak to myself, my budget committee members, the mayor. All of council will be listening, and so will the public service. And I look forward to every single person taking part that possibly can. Where you can't, we know that there are organizations in civil society that will advocate for you, and we're already reaching out to all of them. We really hope that they will be there to tell us what they hear every day in our city. All of the feedback we collect throughout this month will be presented to the Budget Committee in January when we launch the budget draft that we have, and it will be accompanying our report to Mayor Chow so that it can help her shape the budget that she will ultimately deliver to Council. And this is just the beginning, this consultation in November. When we launch that budget in January, we still hope that the public will come back in large numbers to tell us how we did. Is what we're proposing in January reflective of the work that we did together with the community in November? Does it really meet all the needs that it doesn't? And if it doesn't, what are we going to do together to get there? By then, we hope we know more news from the New Deal. But I encourage every Torontonian to be part of the process now, pre-budget, and to join us again when we go through the work of the actual launch budget, January and February. So it all starts today. That survey is going live. It even includes a tool where you can share your feedback so that others can see what Torontonians are saying, because that shared understanding of the needs out there has to start today if we're going to together get through what could be a very challenging 2024. Let's make it instead the start of overcoming challenges and creating the city we want. Thank you. Yeah. Oops, I put you back there. I'm assuming there might be some other questions.
There might be. Well.
Mayor Chow, if you would, is it not possible that public opinion is going to be swayed by the outcome of the working group and what people think they need to do, or what their opinions as a result of what comes from the province and the federal government?
It's a dialogue. It's never just the elected people or just the administrators. It's always about the people that get the service. Why do we have a working group with 3 levels of government? Ultimately, is that person that get the service. What do they need most? How do we meet that need? And that is where ordinary Canadians or ordinary Torontonians can come in and say, this mattered to me a whole lot, and I'm willing to not see other things happen, or I'm willing to pay a bit more. We don't know. We want to ask. And maybe they could even say that, wait a second, I pay a lot of taxes, a lot of income taxes, a lot of HST and, all of that. How much of it come back to the city? Oh my goodness, it's only very tiny, small amount. Wait a second, that's not quite fair, is it? I need to do something about it. So I'm hoping that people, when they see the whole picture of how much they give to different levels of government, they say, wow, okay, my property tax or through my rent is this much, but the city services is this much, and it all matters to me. Can't figure out how you could cut. What are we going to sell? Then perhaps they'll come to a conclusion that perhaps there are better ways of dividing up the tax dollars.
Residents tend to be laser focused on property taxes, however. It's always been that way. Likely is now. You heard about it through your election campaign. What if the result is we do not want you to increase our property taxes and go that way?
Well, there's an imaginary bridge, and it may or may not happen. And maybe people might say, my gosh, thinking of all the services the city deliver, it's worth that dollar we spent per day. You never know. If I don't want to predict. That's not meaningful consultation. Meaningful consultation means that everything is on the table. We want you to know how much each of the services cost, right? Police, $1.2 billion. Shelter, $800 million. I mean, I can go on, but people who need to know how much all of these cost, and then they say, okay, if I want more police service, then I need to, where do I find the money? Do I need to pay more? Or can the other levels of government pay a bit to support the city?
Well, Mayor Chow, the previous mayor was pretty stringent on only raising property taxes at the rate of inflation pretty much for the entirety of his time as mayor. Is safe to say that that's not what you're going to do, that you're not going to just keep it at inflation?
I don't know, because again, if it's meaningful consultation, let's not determine the number right now. Because why ask if you already know what you want to do? There's different words one could describe it. It's not very sincere, not very genuine, let's say, okay? Mr. Tory's last budget, I believe, is 7%, 7.5%, something like that, which is above the rate of inflation. So we don't know yet. Let's talk first. Let's find out what matters to people, and let's ask them, how do we get what matters to you most? Who needs to be at the table in order to get what matters to you?
Bearing in mind that there is a discussion that's going to happen, but many cities across Canada are looking at high single digits.
All right, that is the very latest from Toronto City Hall this hour, where Mayor Olivia Chow is discussing the launch of budget consultations in the city. This is interesting. She says the city wants to hear from people who are struggling to pay their bills, says we are opening up the budget process to the public, encouraging people in the city to go online, even head to City Hall to offer their input on the city's budget, as Toronto asks for a new deal from the province and the feds.